everyone, I'm Casey Martin with Diversified. It looks like we are ready to get started. We appreciate everyone taking the time to be with us tonight. And I want to take a moment to thank all of our board members for volunteering for your communities, your support, and giving us the opportunity to help serve your communities. I would also like to thank the Diversified team members for their efforts in planning tonight's event. We couldn't have made it such a success without you all, so thank you. So before we start, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. All guests will be muted throughout the presentation, but if you do have a question, you can use the meeting chat on the right side of the screen, and our moderator, Phil Benton, one of our community managers, will be answering any questions that arise throughout the presentation. Thanks, Phil. If you missed something in the webinar and would like to review it, a recording of the webinar and a copy of this presentation with notes will be available upon request by your community manager. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce tonight's presenters. My name is Casey Martin. I'm the president of Diversified, and I've been with the company since 2017. My role is assisting in the management of our company-wide business operations to ensure we're providing the best possible service to our communities. Prior to joining Diversified, I attended the University of Colorado at Boulder, earning a bachelor's degree in advertising and communication. Next, we have Amanda Molnix. Amanda joined Diversified Association Management in 2018. Amanda is a certified community manager and has experience managing all types of communities. Prior to joining the team, Amanda attended the University of Northern Colorado, earning a degree in journalism with an emphasis in public relations and advertising. Finally, we have Tabitha Burrill. Tabitha joined Diversified in 2016. As Director of Team Development, Tabitha's primary role includes managing a small portfolio of communities, as well as oversight, training, and development of all of our community managers. Tabitha holds a bachelor's degree in leadership and communication from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. So we'll be going through a few key points in the presentation tonight. We'll start with the role of Diversified as your management company. And then Amanda will be reviewing the role and duties of the board. And finally, Tabitha will be reviewing the features of the website portals and the information and tools you all now have access to as board members. It's important to the success of your manager, our entire team, and your overall community operations that the board understands and utilizes the website portals. We've invested a lot of time in choosing and implementing a software to help streamline our processes and ultimately provide better service for the communities that we manage. The goal of this presentation is to give our volunteer board members the knowledge and skills to be successful board members, as well as to educate you on Diversified's role in helping support our boards in decision-making and the overall success of your community. Whether you're a new board member or a returning director, it's important to understand your role in protecting your community, and Diversified's committed to educating our board members and hosting continuing educations like this one to give you the tools necessary to be able to do that. And we're proud of the team we've assembled and a team of people who truly cares about the communities that we manage. It really is one of the keys to a long-term partnership. So to begin, we'll be discussing the role of Diversified, but I want to tell you a little bit more about our company and the history of our company. So Diversified has been in business since 2005. We are family owned and locally operated here in Colorado Springs. Our community focus goes beyond just the communities that we manage. We volunteer and support local nonprofit organizations. We support the Humane Society, Care and Share Food Bank, and the Trails and Open Space Coalition, and volunteer as a team a few times a year in support of those organizations, and we have fun doing it together as well. Our team consists of 23 employees, and together we manage 140 communities of all types: townhomes, condos, single family, recreation associations, metro districts, and some of the new developments across the Front Range. When our company was founded in 2005, we managed only 2 associations and have grown almost completely organically over the past 17 years. We're also very proud of our industry-leading client retention. When we take on a community, we don't normally lose them, and we take our contracts with the associations that we manage very seriously. And we're proud of the service that we're offering and the great team we've assembled. Our accounting is also done in-house. All of our collections, financials, and accounting-related tasks for your community are done in our local Colorado Springs office. Each community has a designated accounting associate who understands and is familiar with your community. This is not only different than our competition, who often outsource their accounting services and their accounting is completed by a third party in another state, but it allows us to provide a higher level of customer service. All of our employees also have direct phone lines. So you're not calling a customer care number or a 1-800 number. Our community managers all have direct phone lines, so our homeowners can pick up the phone and speak to the community manager, and it allows us to provide a more personalized communication and a higher level of service. We were also voted Best Workplaces by the Colorado Springs Gazette and Best in Business by the Colorado Springs Business Journal for the last few years. We have a great team of people who are passionate about the communities that we manage. So why did you hire Diversified? When you break it all down, your HOA is like a small business, and every business has a lot of moving parts that require time, attention, and expertise. And since our board members are, of course, volunteers and are not compensated, associations hire us to help run the daily operations. As you can see from this slide, there are many components and tasks related to the operations of your community. So I'm sure you're wondering, how do we make it all happen? Each of you has a dedicated and certified community manager, but what is not immediately apparent is that there's an entire team of people working behind the scenes to keep your community moving forward. For example, let's look at the managing accounts payable. It seems simple enough, like a simple enough task. We're cutting checks and paying the association's bills, but it's actually much more involved. First, our admin assistants ensure that the vendors provide us with proper certificate of insurance and accurate W-9s before invoices can be processed and submitted to our invoice approval software, Strongroom. The invoice is then sent through an extensive review process where it's reviewed for accuracy by your assistant manager, your community manager, your accounting associate, the board, and then it's processed for payment. Our team codes each invoice to ensure payments are posted properly to the general ledger, and ultimately that we're providing you with accurate financial reports. Hundreds of invoices are processed for each community every month, and for those accounts set up on automatic payments or paperless billing, like trash or utilities, your assistant manager is making sure that we've downloaded copies of all of those invoices for proper record keeping for your community. To top it all off, at the beginning of the year, our accounting department processes hundreds of 1099s for the vendors paid the previous year. As you can see from this managing accounts payable, we utilize this team approach for everything that we do, from budget preparation, maintenance of common areas, collection of assessments. We have a team of people working behind the scenes to make it all happen. The success of your community is not only dependent on your manager, but your lead manager, assistant community manager, accounting associate, and our administrative support team. along with our partners with expertise in their fields. So because the management of your community has many moving parts, we like to refer to the managers as a jack of all trades. They have to know a little about a lot, and we rely on experts with experience in their particular fields to help guide board decisions. This includes attorneys, insurance specialists, reserve specialists, and general contractors to help guide educated decisions, putting the needs of your community at the center of all of it. Each of the communities that we manage have different needs that of course dictate the scope of services we provide and our overall contractual obligations. I want to encourage all of our board members to review the management contract and really all of your contracts, and please contact me if you have any questions. So there are many different factors we consider when we're putting together a proposal. For example, whether the association is single family or townhome, the amount of common area a community has, the age and potential maintenance needs of the community, and most importantly, time that we're going to have to invest in managing your community. It's very important for both board members and the management company to have an understanding of what those expectations are. And it's really the key to a long-term win-win relationship for both parties and the overall success of your community. So some of the things that are defined in the contract: the number of meetings, typically monthly or quarterly, number of site visits, so basically how often you expect us to be at the community, and most importantly, the manager's time. How much time should you expect the manager to invest in your community? As you know, the manager needs to manage multiple properties in order to make a living, and they can only invest a certain amount of hours into each of the communities that they manage. So a good rule of thumb that we use is $100 an hour for all of our services provided as a basis for figuring out what we will charge a community for their management fee. So for example, if your community's management fee is $1,000, you should expect your manager to put in approximately 10 hours a month of their time. Some examples of additional services that are not covered as part of our regular management fee and that are considered outside of our normal scope of work: extra meetings or site visits, extra meeting time, and major projects, for example, a major asphalt project or painting project, especially those outside of the normal operating budget, and that would require a major investment of your manager's time. As a reminder, your manager is not a decision maker when it comes to your community. The manager works at the discretion of the board, and we do not make decisions on your behalf. Our role is to guide you and provide you with the information necessary to make educated decisions. So hopefully you now have a better understanding of Diversified's role, our management contract. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Amanda, and Amanda is going to briefly be discussing the role and duties as a board member.
Awesome. Thank you, Casey, for that. And thank you all of our board members for attending tonight's meeting. Let me find my mouse here. All right, so I am going to dive right into the role of the board. So you may not realize when you're joining the board what kind of impact you have on your community, but there are roles and duties that each board member must oversee. You're, protecting the most significant investment that many of you will ever have, and that would be your homes. So it's vital that you understand the important role that you play in overseeing the HOA's operations. So the board of directors ultimately have the responsibility and the authority for the operations of the community on behalf of all the owners. And this would include, acting in the best interest of the association, being responsive to the needs and desires of the owners while protecting property values. Being familiar with the governing documents, the state statutes, and the federal laws that could make an impact on your association. Also, enforcing the governing documents fairly and setting a budget for the association. This also goes hand in hand with a proper reserve fund. So, anticipating those future costs. Your HOA should be having reserve studies completed every few years so the board is aware of what deferred maintenance costs there are and what's to be expected so the association can budget correctly. Now, I know it seems like a lot, but don't worry, these duties will be improved and refined throughout your term on the board and always through the guidance of your manager. Now, as a board member, it's important to understand that you hold a fiduciary duty to the association and to the homeowners. That requires directors to act in the best interest of the community as a whole. It's the same degree and care and diligence that you would exercise in your own affairs. So this should be without regard to any personal interest and always following the state statutes and your governing documents. The community elects board members to conduct business on their behalf. So this is a very trusted position that the board upholds. So I'll go over a few other duties that also includes. So the duty of care. This includes doing business in good faith. So devoting time and attention to your community. We know that it's a commitment to be on the board. And so, by actively and participating in board meetings, that shows that you care about the community and you care about listening to the homeowners of anything that comes up in your community. The duty of loyalty. So the board must always act in the best interest of the community and not as individuals or any personal intentions. A good example of this would be if your HOA is going out to bid for landscapers and you're on the board and your brother-in-law owns a landscaping company. This, first thing we think of is a conflict of interest, but, ways to avoid that and to uphold that duty is by abstaining from the vote so that you're not a part of that vote to choose that landscaper. And also think about, is your brother-in-law's company a trusted and qualified vendor? Are they BBB certified? Is this the right choice, even if they weren't family? So you kind of have to take yourself out of the equation there, and that's going to be the best way for the board to make that decision. The next would be the duty to act within the scope of authority. So the board is responsible to uphold the governing documents and to act within accordance of their given authority. The board votes as a whole. So one board member can't go off and approve a roofing contract. That would be a huge liability to the board, and that's why they make all decisions as a group. And then the duty of confidentiality. So this is pretty straightforward, but definitely understanding that the homeowner's information is personal and confidential. You really shouldn't share anybody's personal information or HOA business that's not meant for the public. And then the duty to enforce. So enforcing your policies and the rules consistently and fairly is very important. You can't just go and send your next door neighbor a violation because they have a football team flag displayed that you don't agree with. So we want to make sure that we're enforcing the rules fairly and consistently, and you're upholding that duty as a board member. So I understand this may seem daunting, but however, Diversified, along with all of our partners and our trusted experts in their fields, will help guide the board to serve these duties. Now, while serving these duties, the board will make plenty of decisions along the way. So in order to make effective board decisions, each board member should come prepared with their own opinion on topics, and you really should feel comfortable to share them. However, on the other hand, the board members make decisions as a group, so each member has an equal input and vote in association matters, no matter what position you serve. It's important to remain cooperative, positive, and to stay focused on the real needs of the community. So now I'll go into some tips on to avoid disputes between the board while making all these decisions. So first, familiarize yourself with the governing documents, the rules, the regulations, the policies for your association. It's really important to know these and know these specific for your community. So an example of this would be every community has a covenant enforcement policy. So you can't just go and fine your neighbor for their trash can being left out for $500. There's a policy in place because typically it requires a first notice, a second notice, before we can even assess fines on the account. So having that information and that knowledge will just help you be a better board member. Second, attend board member education events. Like the one you're currently attending, Diversified offers trainings at least once a quarter. We'll be posting monthly blogs. There's also webinars put on by our partners. So check with your manager on any additional education sources. And third, devote time to association business. We know a lot of you are volunteers, you may work a full-time job, but it's important that you're dedicating time. This would be as simple as reviewing the board packet prior to the meeting. The managers are getting those out days in advance so that you can come prepared to the meeting, get that head start, and that way there's more productive conversations happening at the board meeting. Also actively participate in those board discussions and that decision making. You've been elected by your homeowners, so your voice should be heard. Make sure to speak up and actively participate. All right, and then select and support a professional management company. You're already one step ahead by hiring Diversified. And number 6, seek advice of professionals and listen to that advice. We definitely trust our HOA professionals, our HOA attorneys, our insurance specialists, our contractors. They are our resources. And so a lot of things will come up in your community that you may not be sure of. That's when we reach out to our resources and we actually listen to their advice. They are, the experts in their specialized fields. And then last but not least, a paper trail. So we don't mean literal paper here, but definitely document everything so the HOA can be covered and future liabilities if you have supporting documents and evidence, and that'll make sure that the board is always covered. Now, of course, your community manager will always provide recommendations and they'll give advice and experience with other communities to the board. We're here to help you and we're partners with you to make decisions for your community. So that wraps up my section tonight. So we are going to take just a few minute break and we'll go ahead and get started with portal training with Tabitha at 6:30. There may be a few more people joining us, so we will give it about 3 minutes before we start the next section. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope everybody was able to stretch their legs, maybe get a cocktail, and we are back for the part that I'm really excited to share with you all. Once again, my name is Tabitha Burrill, and I'm going to kind of go over the website portals. So our website portals, these really are key to our success. At Diversified, the community managers are portfolio managers. This means that each manager oversees a portfolio of various associations. And our software, which we use as Vantica, gives our community managers and the team the tools necessary to be successfully able to manage all the moving parts of your community from one database. This includes financial reporting and accounting, processing of collections, site inspections and covenant enforcement, overseeing community projects and work orders, architectural control, reporting, maintaining website portals, statement and coupon processing, and all the other HOA-related communication and mailings. The software is key to our community manager's organization, ability to streamline operations, and overall follow-through for your community. It also gives your homeowners the ability to access key information and documents, make payments, and reduces manager phone calls so that your community manager can focus on other association tasks related to the success of your community. And ultimately, the portal is a tool for record keeping for your community. All correspondences through the portal creates a record on the homeowner and association account. This includes messages and replies with homeowners, contractors, board members, violation work order history. And this also allows for information and transparency where board members have insight into the day-to-day operations of your community. However, the success is also contingent on homeowners and directors utilizing and partnering with Diversified through the use of the portals. The portals hold a wealth of information that's accessible to both homeowners as well as the directors. Directors are able to have immediate access to items such as bank statements, open collection items, violations, architectural requests, and various reports. Understanding how to navigate, view, and comment on these items is so important. And your understanding, support, and use of the website portal is vital in the success of your manager, our team, and a successful partnership. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up a portal and show the directors of the various elements and features accessible to the board. All right. So on your screen right now, you will see the dashboard. And to start, I do want to just emphasize that we are using a test account. So this association is called Presidential Valley. And I am currently logged in as George Washington, the board president. I am logged into my association portal at Presidential Valley, and the first page that you see is the dashboard. Now, this is what each homeowner, each board member, whomever logs into their individual portal will come and see. On the left, you will see that we have these various tabs from dashboard to documents. These are the tabs that are going to be specific to your individual property within the association. These tabs are available to both board and homeowners. I'm not going to spend too much time on these because I really want to dive into what I think is just an exciting feature, and that's the board actions. But I do want to just touch base on each of them briefly. But of course, if you have any questions regarding these, please don't hesitate to reach out to your community manager. So as I stated, the dashboard is kind of the first page that you see. This is kind of a one-stop shop. This is where you can see your account balance, any outstanding items, upcoming assessments, and there's also some links that will direct you to the other tabs on the left. The next tab is my contact info. Pretty self-explanatory. This is where any homeowner can come in. They can update their email address, maybe a mailing address, phone number. They can also update how they appear in the association's directory. This directory is available to all homeowners, and it always starts off with just the name and the property. But I do know that there are some homeowners and associations who like having their email out there or phone number, and they can choose to have those available on the directory. The next tab is the billing tab. This speaks for itself. This is where homeowners can come in. They can see this balance. Of course, George Washington apparently has not paid his bill in a very long time. They can see their current balance and their account history. They can download a transaction report, an account ledger. Maybe they need it to renew their mortgage or anything such as that. And they can also set up for automatic payments or pay by credit card or e-check right here on the portal. My items is where anything specific to that property is going to be posted for the last 30 days. So this could be an architectural request, maybe a violation on that specific property. Maybe the association sent out a broadcast email. This will show up in the My Items. This tab is also where homeowners can submit various requests. This is the start of that record keeping. These requests generate and create those actionable items for the manager and the board to then work through. General requests are fee waivers, work order requests, maybe a general question that goes to our accounting team or your community manager. They can also submit their architectural requests here, just right here by the ease of click of a button. The next tab is the calendar and events. Self-explanatory as well. This is where the association can post upcoming board meetings, maybe some community or social events, or really just the goings-ons of the community. Maybe there's a big asphalt project. We can put this on the calendar so all homeowners can also be made aware that way as well. The directory is where we house that information, that contact information. This is where homeowners can see board member contact. They can also see any architectural committee or committee contacts. And then as well, they can choose to see their homeowner contacts as well for whatever information those specific homeowners have chosen to make public to the community. And finally, documents. There is a wealth of information on your association portal. These documents are going to vary based on if you are on the board or just a homeowner. Board members have a higher access. So on top of seeing homeowner financials, governing documents, architectural guidelines, board members also have the ability to see your monthly bank statements, board packets, even invoice images. This is a great feature. Every month, at the end of the month, the Strong Room program will take all the invoices that were paid in that month, and they'll put them in this folder. And so board members can go back and say, what have we paid in January of 2022? Well, let's have a look. So these tabs, like I mentioned, are always available to all the homeowners and board members. But let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into why you're here today. So when I go down and I select board actions, it creates a drop down of additional tabs. Now these additional tabs, like I said, are only available to board members. The only caveat to that is if you serve on the architectural committee, you do actually have this architectural tab as well. So let's dig into these. Let's start with architectural. So when I select the architectural tab, the screen will come up Now, before we get into the architectural portion, I want to kind of navigate through how this is set up, because through the various tabs that we're going to be going through, collections, violations, work orders, it's all going to be set up the same. And so knowing how to navigate that is just going to make it that much easier for you to serve your community. So first you'll see up here on the left, we see my items, open, closed. My items are going to be anything that's either at the architectural committee or the board members staged for approval. So this will mean that either it's waiting on you yourself as a board member to make it a vote, or it's waiting on another board member to make a vote to have that majority or unanimous approval. What's also great is we can research closed architectural requests. Maybe you're driving down the road and you say, hey, Bobby Sue has a fence. I don't remember seeing that request come in. I can easily select closed and it will pull up all the closed architectural requests, and I can easily then search by the address. Another great feature that this offers is this export feature. You can always export any of this data into an Excel, which might be easier for you to manage or to review at your leisure. And then finally, we have column setups. So currently we're showing steps. So what step, what stage are we at? We have the item details, description, and then we have attachments here. But maybe I want to see more easily the property address. I can select these three dots. I can select columns, property address, and now as you can see, that property address shows up. I can even go to the settings button and I can save my settings so I don't have to add that column every time I log into the portal. So I really encourage all the board members to, after tonight, log into your portals, play around. You're not going to hurt anything. Choose columns, click around, and just familiarize yourself with how it's all set up. So let's dig into architectural. So this is an architectural request. It looks like Thomas Jefferson is requesting this. And it looks like he is requesting to paint his house pink. So we have two options to dig a little deeper. I can select this paperclip and it's going to pull up all the attachments that are linked to this specific request. But I'm actually going to select this eye icon, because when I do, not only am I going to have the attachments available, I'm also going to be able to see all the correspondence that is linked to this one specific task. So I can see immediately that Thomas Jefferson submitted his architectural request. I can select this paperclip right here. And if I go down to this drop box, it's going to pull up any attachments that are linked to this specific request. So for instance, let's take a look here. We have a pink house request. So it looks like he wants to paint his house pink like this. I don't know if that would fly with any communities that I'm aware of, but you never know. Maybe the Presidential Valley has a different type of color scheme. It'll also pull up the architectural request form so you can review that, and any other diagrams or specifications that are included. I can also see how this progresses in the approval process for architecturals. I see that the manager received it and we sent it to the architectural committee. And this is a great feature of this software, is once we send it to the committee, it's also notifying the homeowner immediately saying, we have received your request and it is currently under review. So that line of communication stays consistent throughout the whole process. So let's go back to this email to the architectural committee. So one thing I do want to touch base on is that anytime we send correspondence out to the board through our software, it's communicating to the board in two fashions. The first one is it is posting it here on the portal, so you can log in and we can respond through here, which I'll show in a minute. But it's also sending an email, and it's sending an email to the whole board or the architectural committee, and it's including those attachments as well. So the board has you as an individual have the decision. You can reply back to that email. It is coming from customer service@diversifiedprop.com. But if you hit reply, and as long as you see, keep that XN number in the subject line, and that XN number it's really a tracking number for that one specific action. As long as you keep that in the subject line, your response will then be automatically posted right here through the record of this one action. Or you can come log into the portal and you can actually type your response right here. I can see that if I select send to, I can pick the art committee. I want the rest of the committee to know my decision, as well as the art coordinator, which is diversified. And I can reply back, I do not approve. No pink. We don't do pink houses here. I can hit send a message. If I wanted to add an attachment, I could. But as soon as I hit a send message, it's now a record in our database, and you can see that it now is saved with that one action. So let's continue on. We've covered the architectural. Let's go on to collections. So when I select collections, you can see it looks exactly the same as the architectural. So the functionality is exactly the same. I can still view if there's any my items. Maybe there's a collection account that needs board approval to be sent to the attorney. That would then show up in my items. Right now, we're just looking at any open collections for this association, and then we can always go back and look at closed items as well. We can once again change up our columns if we would like, or export to an Excel. So this one, it looks like it's Thomas Jefferson again. Perhaps he should be focusing on paying his assessments opposed to trying to paint his house pink. But it looks like we're at a lien notice stage. And this is all built specifically around each individual specific collection policy because they all vary. I can see the information right here. And then once again, I can click this eye icon and I can see the whole transaction of this collection process. I can see when the first notice was sent, second notice, demand. Now it looks like we are at the stage for the manager to review for a potential lien on the property. I can once again select these attachments and I can see the specific notices that have been sent to the homeowner. I can see the first collection notice, the second, the demand. This is a great source to keep record because I'm sure you've all heard, nobody reached me out about my past due balance. I received no communication. Now we have our communication, homeowner correspondence, board votes, all housed in one area. And maybe I want to ask the manager a question on this. I can easily send a message right here to my manager and I can say, has this homeowner contacted us? And that will message directly to the community manager who can then reply back and their response will also be in that portal. Next, we're going to go to homeowners. And every time I show board members this portion of the portal, they're amazed at how much information is at their fingertips. This one works just like the other. We have columns that we can choose from. However, when I select columns, you can see there is a plethora of information that we have access to. I know a lot of homeowners and a lot of board members, they really strive to get email addresses for every homeowner. This is a great way where I can select who has an email, and I can maybe reach out to those that we don't have emails for. Play around with this. Take a look at all these options that are available for you and how you can organize these columns. But let's dig a little deeper. So let's go into Chester Arthur's. Maybe I want to see if he has any open items or what his transactions are. Maybe he called me for assistance as the board president. I can actually select his account number, and it's going to pull me up into his account. Nothing open right now under items. It doesn't look like he has any open items, but I can actually hit include closed, and I can see all closed items on his property. I can see that he's had a few violations. It looks like he's been in collections. Even looks like he's had a work order done that's been completed. It looks like his roof was sinking in. If I wanted more information about this, I can click that X in, which is that tracking number for that specific work order. And I can once again see all the information that is tied to that one specific work order. I can also go and see a summary of his account. So what a summary does is it breaks up the transactions on the account, and it pretty much puts them in the charge groupings. So it'll show me interest, late fees, special assessments they might have, and I can select one of these and see just that information for that specific type of charge. Sometimes though, it's much easier to see the whole transgression of the history of that property. And with that, I would select transactions, and I can actually see that account ledger. And that's that day-by-day play. I can see when assessments post, interest post, if there are payments, I can see that, and it goes in chronological order. So as you can see with this homeowner list, you pretty much have access to everything we have access on this homeowner's account. Feel free, once again, to play around with this. You're not going to hurt anything. Let's move on to violations. Violations set up just like all the architectural and the collections, but it's specific to violations. So here we can see all the open violations for the community. It looks like Rutherford has a holiday decoration, second notice. Right here, it looks like Hogwarts Trust has a weeds first notice violation. And I can actually, once again, select that eye icon. And starting from the bottom up, I can see the progression of this. We sent a first notice. I, as the board president, messaged my community manager and said, can you please send the second notice for this violation? The holiday decorations still have not removed. I responded to the board, and so all the board members got my response saying, yep, absolutely, we will get that sent out. And we can then see the second notice. And then once again, we can select those attachments, and we can see each notice that was sent to the homeowner. And finally, work orders. This one works just like the others, except once again, it's specific to work orders. My items are going to be any items that maybe we're waiting for a board to review and approve on, and then any other open or closed items. So if I hit open here, my board review is here, but I can also see we have a pending completion. We have one work order that's to trim the tree from off their roof, and that's for Ronald Reagan's home. And then John Kennedy has a board review estimate. Can you please have the sidewalk fixed in front of my unit? Let's take a look at that one. Starting from the bottom up, we can see that the homeowner submitted this request through their portal. I can take a look as a board member and see, yeah, I think that sidewalk might need some repairs. Definitely a tripping hazard. I see that it was sent to the manager, and I see that the manager sent out a request for proposal. As soon as we send that request for proposal, much like the architectural, it also instantaneously emails the homeowner, and it also emails them who that contractor is going to be. So that way there's no surprises if they see a concrete company working in front of them. They expect this. It's just keeping that constant line of communication. In this case, I did act as the contractor here, and I said, thank you for the opportunity to bid this project, see the attached proposal. And then as the manager, I said that to the board to review. The manager or the board can then review that scope and that proposal all right here. You hit that paperclip and it's going to pull up all the documentation that's linked to that work order. As the board president, I can then either approve via email or deny or ask questions, or I can come here and I can go ahead and submit my approval or questions for that proposal right here. Either way, it encases that correspondence. Board action items. So this area on the tab, these are going to be the action items that we're waiting either full board approval on or some type of board input. It might appear in your action items if maybe you've already commented on something, but we're waiting for other board members to comment. It's pretty much an active board item. Here we can see we have the ARC request and the work order currently. However, some other items that might appear up here might be a fee waiver request or a question for the board. Anything that we're awaiting a response for is going to show here for board action items. So this is probably where you might want to have your attention at more regularly, unless you're doing research or looking into things, because these are going to be the items that we're waiting for your input to proceed on. And then finally, reports. Some people think I'm a little silly, but I love these reports. I get super jazzed about them. I just think it's just a great way to showcase the association's information. We have options where you can pull an architectural report, collections report, violations report. These are going to be specific to the association. So let's look at an architectural report. Let's change the dates because it doesn't look like we've had any this year. So let's go into January 1st of 2021 to, let's do December 31st, 2021. So this will be all of 2021. I'm going to hit preview. And this will now show us, it looks like we've done, oh, I did December 1st, excuse me. Let's do January because that was only one. There we go. There we go. Now we have the full year of 2021 to see how many architectural requests have been approved, denied, are currently in process. And it has all the information and dates behind each request here. And it's colorful and fun. I see a lot of boards utilizing this in maybe annual meetings for annual reports to the homeowners and just kind of keeping everybody informed. Once again, feel free to play around with this. When you're generating the reports, you're not going to hurt anything. The other reports we have is an AR aging report, so you can have real time on your delinquencies, a GL trial balance, a GL trial balance summary, and then you can even have a real-time income statement. Let's take a look at that because there's a really cool feature about this. So here's our statement of revenues and expenses, so our income and expense statement. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look at all of 2021, just like I did with the architecturals. I'm going to, oh, this is an end date. So let's do December 31st because it's on an annual basis. So here we go. So let's look at December 1st to December 31st for Presidential Valley. You all should be familiar with the income expense statements. These are not only provided to the board with the monthly financials, but also part of the homeowner financials as well. But the great thing about this report is it's actually, I can click into it. So not much is happening here with Presidential Valley, but what I can see is it looks like here they have some legal fees and we have a credit of $100. I wonder what's in there. I can actually select that GL and I can see everything that has been booked in a specific time frame to that specific GL. Perhaps it's general repair and maintenance. How have we spent $500 already this year? It's only February 9th. We can click into that and it's going to show us those transactions that have already occurred in that GL. Great information. I utilize this all the time as well myself as a community manager. So once again, I know I've said it a few times, but I just want to encourage all board members, go in, play with this, see what's out there. And of course, if you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to reach out to your community manager or myself for any direction. So with that, we just want to thank you. That does wrap up our website portal training as well as the training on the role of Diversified and the board. Once again, I do want to thank the Diversified team. I want to thank Casey and Amanda for assisting in putting this training together. Also want to give a great shout out to Brittany Murray, our office manager, and Phil Benton, a community manager, who are assisting us in the trenches with the technology. And then finally, most importantly, I want to thank you all board members for taking the time to be here tonight, as well as the commitment to serve your communities. We wouldn't be here without you, and we certainly do appreciate all you do. So have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.
Thank you.